So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. In this episode, we're going to talk about iPhone or Samsung 2023. We're going to do a more conversational piece today where I talk directly to you guys instead of just showing the phones in the studio on the phone table that you see on the channel. Anyway, let's talk about which phone is going to be the better option for you in 2023. Now, we'll begin by talking about the iPhone. So, tried and true, Apple's polished design, polished premium feel. I believe in 2023, the iPhone is better for somebody who doesn't really want to spend a lot of time, really learning the ins and outs of the smartphone. Apple has nailed the simplicity, that factor that it just works kind of feel. And yes, if you're a long-time iOS user, that's going to be even more true. A first-time iOS user, I'm not oblivious to the fact that a first-time iOS user will need to learn how to use it. However, I think once you nail the basics, there's not a lot to the iPhone. It's just kind of a bunch of home screens with some apps and an app library. Then you have universal search right here, so it just makes things easy as well. And then you have iMessage and FaceTime. Now, the ecosystem is also very important between these two phones, but the iOS ecosystem is a little bit further along in that the AirPods, the MacBook Pros, everything in the Apple ecosystem is kind of like purely Apple. Now, Samsung. Who is the Samsung going to be better for? This is the Galaxy S23. The first person I think this is going to be better for is somebody who uses a Windows computer. The Samsung device just works, I think, a little bit better with Windows computers, and it even has a feature that says link to Windows down here. So that's also going to be great. Also, I think the Samsung phone is going to be better for somebody who values more freedom of customization on their phone. Now, the iPhone did improve its customization with improved lock screens and stuff like that, where you can change around the clock faces, the colors, things of that sort. But where the Samsung still really shines is its ability to have, more theming options, more icon changes. You can really personalize this phone to make it your own. Now, a lot of people, that are older, I'm not saying old, I'm saying like you're not a teenager anymore. Some people I've seen in the comments, some viewers and commenters say, I'm not a kid, I don't play around with those icons. You know what I'm saying? Like they say it's like childish to play around with this stuff. And I don't find that true. I find it just more of something to personalize your phone if you want to. Now, busy, working adults probably are not going to have the time to do that. But in that case, I do think Samsung's One UI 5.1 is pretty clean and nice. I don't really customize it anymore because I actually like how One UI 5.1 looks. I think it became more polished over the years, but I don't think Samsung's icons are quite as polished and nice as Apple's icons on here. They still have really polished apps. Now, speaking of applications, if you are looking for applications to come first, maybe a little bit more polished to your applications, I do believe iPhone is the way to go. Reason being is developers know Apple is one of the higher, sought after platforms. So they're going to be putting their time and efforts into updating and putting their apps out first on iPhone. I feel like we've been talking about that for years, but things still haven't changed. That still holds true today. The applications still usually look a little bit better and sometimes come first here to the iPhone, but they're also catching on that a lot of people like Samsung phones as well, so you'll find them here as well. And the thing about Samsung, though, I will say is that you're not really just using Samsung, you're actually using Google's ecosystem. It's more of an advertiser-based ecosystem, meaning you're going to see more ads pop up in this system, I feel like. In addition to that, but you have Samsung services. Now, for me, it doesn't really become overwhelming, but I could see how some people won't like how they can use two separate, look, I got two calendars because I actually like to use a Google Calendar, but the Samsung Calendar has some features. So you have two separate systems in one here when you're using the Galaxy phone. Now, one thing nice about the Galaxy phone, though, is that I think the hardware looks more modern with that punch hole, super thin bezels. You could see the iPhone 14 Pro. This is not a direct comparison to these two. I'm just saying where Samsung and Apple are at right now in their hardware phases. You can see Dynamic Island up there is much more prominent. However, I feel like a lot of people that, purchase Samsung devices really like to enjoy media. That's why the S21 or S23 Ultra is the king seller of these devices. You get to consume a lot of media on there. And the bigger screen is a lot often associated with the better device. Now, on the back, the hardware of current iPhones and premium Samsung phones is about the same. We have, glass backs in the rear, but they are etched. They feel matte kind of feel. Not really etched, they're more like matte texture. They just feel nice. They don't pick up fingerprints. And you could see Samsung's camera design and Apple's camera design are quite a bit different. You'll see more of a, stovetop looking design there. Came on the iPhone 11 Pro. Over here, I do like the symmetrical look of the Samsung Galaxy S23 over here. But I do think there is a good distinguishing features between the two. You'll know that somebody has the iPhone if you see that right there, or a notch, and you'll know they have the Samsung if they see that. The thing about the Samsung though is that it's not really that special because a lot of Android phones have punch holes now. So some people might not know which is going to be the best option. Now, in terms of ecosystem for Samsung, I talked about a little bit about Windows. However, you got Samsung DeX support on here, and I haven't showed this in a while in my videos, but the Samsung DeX will allow you to connect to a monitor. Now, that monitor over there is a Samsung M8 monitor. You could actually connect this wirelessly via that monitor without even, plugging a plug-in. So if you get a Samsung monitor particularly, it's even better. But any other monitor, you can still kind of wirelessly and use a USB-C 1 cable to get a full-blown like computer-like experience. So that's pretty amazing, I would say. Now, Samsung also does have competing, ecosystem. You'll find things like Samsung Galaxy Buds. For Apple, we know that the AirPods are tried and true. I got a case on these, but the AirPods are tried and true for that system. And the Galaxy Books kind of match up well. It's just, again, using Google, using Windows, and then Samsung's own like skins. It's just not quite as polished. It's not quite fully, Samsung. So with that being said, Apple still, I think, has a lead in that department. The Pixel is probably closer to it being full Google than Samsung is with their Galaxy line. But the Galaxy line has one major advantage over, Apple in 2023 with that, and that is a wide array of features. So with Apple, you're going to get very simple to use. But if you do want a wide array of advanced features, a lot of the stuff that you're looking for on iPhone just simply doesn't exist there. It's on the Samsung. For example, edge screens and the ability to go ahead and split those screens, multi-window pop views, stuff like that. Some of the stuff you're like, man, I wish my iPhone could do that. The Samsung probably does it. So that's another leg up. Now, when it comes to the actual camera performance between Samsung and Apple in 2023, I've been really taking these out, testing them. You've seen some of my full comparisons. I would say go with the Apple device if you are looking for more of a camera that's going to give you more natural look. It does have more natural looking photos on here. In addition to that, the photos do have pretty good contrast. You'll see a photo right there. They also do have, they don't really overexpose anything or really, they do have a little bit of flare. Like they can get some lens flare, but they also do provide really good results, HDR and stuff like that. And it's really hard to beat the video quality on the iPhone over here. But with the Samsung phone, where they really excel is giving you a variety of features that you can use with it. However, I find that Samsung's pictures can turn out a little bit over sharpened. However, I do believe Samsung has really good photos for those who just want to post on social media right away without doing any filters and editing. Another thing is I do like how they take selfies on there. They don't really show all of the skin imperfections that some people get annoyed about with certain selfie cameras. I don't know about you, but when I'm taking a selfie, I'm trying to make it look good. I don't want to see like every pore and every little pimple on my face or whatever. I don't know if you feel the same way, but that's how I feel about the selfie, and Samsung does a good job there. I also feel like Samsung is doing a little bit of a better job with the night modes these days than Apple. They're just getting more light in there. But overall, you're going to get a lot more zoom, a lot more features on the Samsung phone versus the iPhone. But the iPhone just has a simple to use, easy, really sharp camera. So overall though, they're pretty much neck and neck. It just comes down to, do you want, the better video camera of the iPhone, very easy to use, simple to use, or do you want the versatility, the sharp looking photos, and the zoom quality of Samsung? Now, price points between Apple and Samsung in 2023 are pretty close at the high end, especially like the Ultras and the Pro Maxes. But when we start talking about the S23 and S23 Plus, I think Samsung is the pick for the better value. Software-wise, you are going to get similar software support for 4 years. 5 years is going security on Samsung. Apple should give you an extra year or two on major updates. The thing about that though is it's not really a major advantage for Apple anymore, and that's because at that point, the software updates are not going to give you probably all the best features at that time. Usually the older phones are lacking a couple of the latest and greatest features at that 5-year mark. So I think you might even have already upgraded your phone. In my opinion, these are pretty much becoming a wash in terms of length of updates. Now, the iPhone does give you much faster updates though. I think immediately when they come out, you're getting updates for the iPhone. And battery life, we could talk about battery life between these two in 2023 between Samsung and Apple. I gotta say, Samsung has really went to town with their Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, but Apple with their efficiency has been really good as well. They're pretty much a wash when it comes to audio quality. It's just gonna be coming down to personal preference. Neither have headphone jacks anymore. Neither have SD card storage on the premium lines. So at the end of the day, who should you pick in terms of phones in 2023, Apple or Samsung? I think if you're looking for more affordable options, Samsung still has it for you. Even the S23 is much cheaper than the 13 Pro, and it's very comparable. It's like half the price of the 13 Pro, and it's very comparable. You also have things like the A54 and even cheaper options. So Samsung still offers those cheaper options than Apple. I don't think it hurts their brand too much because they've separated the S line as the high-end line, but I still think Apple has that more luxury, brand image where people just think it's bougie if you got the iPhone and stuff like that. So that's still a win for Apple if you're into that fashion stuff and things like that. If you're into saying, oh, I got the best phone. Best phone is subjective, but some people just feel because they got that brand, they got the best phone out there. At the end of the day, you're not going to go wrong with either, but those are some of the main differences here in 2023. We're going to see some changes coming to the 15 Pro. Some of the rumors I've been seeing leaked already are showing a phone quite similar. So I don't know if Apple's going to change it too much. What are your thoughts? Apple or Samsung 2023? Go ahead and comment down below. I'd love to hear what you guys got to say about these two down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this style of video, we just talk one-on-one, let me know. I'll continue making some of these as well. Catch you on the next episode. Nick here, and peace.